Hey everyone, welcome to the monthly compilation. So we'll be discussing about all the finance current affairs from the October 2025 month. Let's get the discussion started. The very first question for today is: in September 2025, L&T secured $1 million facility from the International Bank. This marks the first major step in linking the infrastructure financing with that to the ESG benchmark. What type of trade facility did L&T secure from Standard Chartered Bank? Was it related to green trade facility, sustainability linked trade facility, ESG performance linked credit facility, climate risk mitigation facility, or sustainable development goals financial facility? Important for your examination. It was the sustainability linked trade facility. Okay, it was the sustainability linked trade facility. So this news was from the L&T secures the 700 million green trade finance from the Standard Chartered Bank. Very important for your examination, right? And in June 2025, we have seen that L&T has secured India's first listed sustainability linked bonds that is worth rupees $60 million under the Securities and Exchange Board of India ESG bond framework, right? The RBI publishes the Supervisory Data Quality Index to assess the quality of the supervisory data reported by the scheduled commercial bank. For June 2025, the score of SDQI was what? What was the score of SDQI for the month of June 2025? The score for the month of June 2025 was 89.9, right? 89.9, option A is the correct choice. And which category of the bank recorded the highest number of SDQI score in June 2025? So it was small finance bank. It was small finance bank. And can you guys tell me the component that showed the highest number in June 2025? The component was here completeness, right? Last data के अंदर भी completeness था, इस बार भी completeness ही है. So we have seen the data of SDQI. At the same time, we have discussed about the highest indicator, which is the completeness indicator as well. Next one. The Bank of India has collaborated with a fintech player to strengthen its MSME financing ecosystem under the brand name BOI Trade Easy, right? Which fintech firm has the Bank of India partnered with to launch this BOI Trade Easy platform? Which was the fintech firm? I hope you guys remember this one. So this was the Cash Invoice, which is a fintech firm. Next one is regarding the mercanting trade transaction. So MTT, mercanting trade transaction, are used by the Indian traders to buy and sell the goods without physically entering the India. Recently, as per the revised directions related to MTT, what is the maximum time limit allowed for the forex outlay in case of a MTT transaction? Maximum time allowed for the forex outlay. The correct answer here will be 6 months, and this is important, right? So this is from the directions to the AD banks for providing flexibility in case of the MTT transaction. Now it is 6 months. Earlier it used to be 4 months, right? Now next one is related to which is the single unified appellate forum for the second level appeals under the GST that was recently announced. So recently appellate forum for the GST was announced. This is for the second level appeals, right? This is for the second level appeals. So which is the one? It is the GST Appellate Tribunal, right? GST 80, option C. And can you guys also tell me each bench of the GST Appellate Tribunal will consist of which of the following members? Each bench of GST Appellate Tribunal will consist of which of the following members? So, two judicial members will be there. And one technical member from state and one technical member from the central will be there, right? So this is regarding the GST Appellate Tribunal which was recently launched, important for your examination. Can you guys also tell me what was the MWA limit which was set by Reserve Bank of India for half year 2 of financial year 2026? So it was 50,000 crore, option D, 50,000 crore. And at what level of utilization of the WMA limit RBI can trigger a fresh flotation of market loans for the government of India? So RBI can trigger that once you have utilized at least 75% of the WMA limit, right? So 50,000 is the WMA limit for the 2026 half year and 75% is the trigger limit, right? Next one. India's UPI ecosystem continues its international expansion. Can you guys tell me, now Indian travelers can also use UPI for the payment in which country as approved in September 2025? September 2025. And India is really expanding the UPI presence in multiple countries now. It is Qatar, option B, Qatar, right? Next one. RBI recently signed a renewed statement of commitment to which international code? It was FX Global Code, right? Option E, FX Global Code. Next one. What was the total remittances under the LRS in July 2025? So in July 2025, what was the LRS? 2.45 billion USD. 2.45 billion USD. As per the Monetary Policy Committee meeting of October 2025, what is the GDP growth rate projection for financial year 2026? The GDP growth rate projection for financial year 2026 is 6.8%. 6.8%. What is the total gross market borrowings via dated securities pegged for half year 2 of financial year 2026? It is 6.77 lakh crore. 6.77 lakh crore. Right? Now the fall in the LRS outflow during the July 2025 was primarily driven by the lower remittances under which segment? So it was driven because of the travel and overseas education. Option C, travel and overseas education was the reason behind it. Which two organizations have jointly launched India's first AI-driven equity fund? So this is about India's AI first driven equity fund. So it was launched by Paytm Money and Jio BlackRock, right? Paytm Money and Jio BlackRock. What are the OECD's, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, GDP growth forecast for India for 2025 and 2026 respectively? That is 6.7% for 2025 and for 2026 it is 6.2%. Okay, it is 6.2%. Next one. What is the revised minimum net worth requirement for custodian under SEBI's amended custodian regulation? Very, very important. Very, very important. And the correct choice here is option E, 75 crore. 75 crore is the new revised limit. And for those who are already existing custodian, we have given them the transition period of 3 years to comply with the net worth requirement, right? So SEBI raises the custodian net worth requirement to 75 crore. And those who are already the custodian, a transition period of 3 years have been given to them. So please do remember, can be important for your examination. Next one. RBI recently amended the master direction on the risk management and interbank dealing, which category of the authorized dealer has now been permitted to transact in the rupee deliverable derivative contract, right? So these are NDDCs, which are offshore non-deliverable derivative contract. Non-deliverable derivative contract. So which authorized dealer category is now can now participate in the offshore non-deliverable derivative contract. So that's authorized dealer category 3, AD category 3, right? So यहाँ पे AD category 3 को यहाँ पे permission मिल गया है. Already AD category 1 तो कर ही सकती थी. Recently they have given the permission to the authorized dealer category 3 as well. Next one. RBI has issued some set of directions governing the authentication mechanism for the digital payment transaction. Now, can you tell me from which date these new directions are going to take effect for the domestic transactions? They are going to take effect from 1st of April 2026, right? So the start of the new financial year, they will be effective. As part of the updated guidelines on the digital payment authentication, the Reserve Bank of India has also mandated timeline for compliance by issuers with respect to the cross-border transaction, by which date the issuer need to comply with the RBI's authentication direction for non-recurring cross-border transactions. So they need to comply it by 1st of October 2026. Can you tell me which two entities have signed the MOU to combat cybercrime and financial fraud in the telecom industry? In the telecom industry. They are none other than the DOT and FIUIND, right? Option C, DOT and FIUIND. So FIUIND, Organization for Preventing the Cyber Crimes and Financial Fraud, and DOT is nothing but your telecom department. Next one. What is the minimum authentication standard required for the digital payment transactions unless specifically exempted? Minimum authentication standard required for the digital payment transaction, that is two-factor authentication. That is two-factor authentication, right? And what about for the card not present transaction? If the card not present during the transaction, what must be one factor out of the 2FA? Out of the two-factor authentication, one must be dynamic or transaction specific in nature, right? One must be dynamic or transaction specific in nature. Next one. Which organization has the National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation partnered for the purpose of accelerating the digital transformation for the urban cooperative banks? For the urban cooperative banks. That's option B, CSE E-Governance Services India Limited. Next one. To strengthen the resilience of the banking sector, the RBI has proposed a forward-looking provisioning framework that focuses on expected losses rather than only recognizing the incurred losses. So this is none other than the expected credit loss framework of Reserve Bank of India. This is based on an Indian accounting standard, which is Indian Accounting Standard 109 related to financial instruments. So इसका बेस कहाँ से लिया गया है? Ind AS 109 financial instrument से लिया गया है, right? Next one. The Reserve Bank of India has issued new guidelines for claim settlement related to the deceased customer, by when the banks are required to adopt these norms at the latest. So by latest, they need to comply it by 31st March 2026. By 31st March 2026. Next one. India's Index of Industrial Production data for August 2025 highlighted a slowdown in the industrial growth. कैन यू टेल मी दी अगस्त 2025 का इंडिया का IIP इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन इंडेक्स ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन का डेटा? That is 4%, right? For August 2025, that was 4%. Next one. From which date SEBI has mandated the use of dedicated UPI address? Now, SEBI has formulated rules related to the dedicated UPI address for the registered intermediary, and intermediaries are required to follow them by 1st October 2025, right? So, already ये चीज़ follow हो चुकी है 1st October 2025. Next one. The RBI has launched a scheme to reduce large pool of unclaimed deposit and reactivate the dormant accounts lying across the banking sector. What was the duration? Will this scheme remain operational? What is the duration for which this particular scheme will remain operational? It will remain operational for 1st October 2025 to 30th September 2026. Okay. Which rate has RBI maintained as the operating target for the monetary policy under the revised framework? So RBI has revised the liquidity management framework in September 2025, and they have maintained WACR, weighted average call rate, as the operating target for the monetary policy in the revised framework, right? And under this particular revised framework, which tenure of VRR, VRRR will now be primarily used instead of the previous one? So here they will be using 7-day VRR and VRRR auction from now onwards from the 14 days. अब वो 7 days पे transition कर लेंगे. And what is the minimum percentage as prescribed for the CRR that a bank is required to maintain on a daily basis? This was also there in the liquidity framework, which RBI has recently revised, and it will continue to be at 90%. It will continue to be at 90%, right? Next is India's International Investment Position IIP. Data for the end June 2025 showed a decline in the net claims. By how much did the net claim of the non-resident of India decline during Q1 of financial year 2026? Options are in front of you. Let me know in the comment section what is the correct choice here. The correct choice here will be option B, 16.4 billion US dollars. Can you tell me what was the ratio of India's international asset to liabilities as of June 2025 as per the recently data which was released? Asset to liability ratio, so it was 79.2%. It was 79.2%. And what about the level of external debt? At the end of June 2025, it was 747.2 billion USD. What was the external debt to GDP ratio? So here we need to tell debt to GDP ratio of June 2025. The debt to GDP ratio was 18.9%. 18.9%. Which currency had the largest share in India's external debt at the June 2025? It was US dollars, close to 53%. A moderate level of debt service obligation, which is your debt service ratio, reflecting manageable repayments pressure, right? What was India's debt service coverage ratio as of June 2025? The debt service coverage ratio was 6.6%. 6.6%. According to NPCI plan, UPI transaction can soon be converted into which repayment form? It can be converted into equated monthly installments, EMIs, right? Next one. As per the new framework released by Reserve Bank of India aligning with the Basel III standards, what is the maximum percentage of the risk-weighted assets that can be contributed by the PDIs issued overseas in 81 capital. Important, very, very important. Any idea, guys? The correct choice here is, guys, option C, 1.5%. 1.5% is the correct choice. Next one. Which of the following is an approved exception where banks can provide loans despite the prohibition? So, despite of the major consumer and importer of gold, India maintains a strict restriction on the bank financing related to the precious metal. However, which one of the following is an exception? Gold bag ETF, NBFC engaged in gold lending, exporter of the gold, jewelers for working capital, and individuals for pledging the jewelry for education loan. So, the correct answer is jeweler for working capital. If you are a jeweler, you want a working capital loan, that's allowed. That's allowed. Next one. In a move to encourage responsible self-regulation among the non-bank lenders, RBI has granted SRO status to a key body. Very, very important. This is expected to enhance the governance and the oversight. Which entity has been given the SRO recognition in the NBFC lending space? And the correct choice here is, guys, option D, Finance Industry Development Council. That's the new SRO for the NBFCs. Now, this is going to be one of the most important news, right? Prepare it from the objective point of view, prepare it from the descriptive angle as well. In its Asian Development Outlook released in September 2025, the Asian Development Bank has made a downward revision to India's projected GDP growth for financial year 2026. What is the latest GDP growth estimate as per this ADB outlook? That is 6.5%. 6.5% here is the correct choice. Government receipts play a vital role in fiscal planning and budgeting. Till the end of the August 2025, how much had the Government of India received in terms of total receipts? The correct choice here will be option B, 12,82,709 crore. Next one. The GST collection for September 2025. So, I am just ignoring this question. Why? Because you need to learn the GST collection of the very latest month just before your examination. To improve accessibility, credit accessibility in the rural and semi-urban area, especially in the gold loan, which two players have entered into gold loan focused co-lending arrangement recently? So, the name of the players are BOB and IIFL. Okay, BOB and IIFL, option D. Next one. To enhance the insurance reach and streamline the bancassurance distribution, which general insurer has recently tied up with Equitas Small Finance Bank? It's the Tata AIG General Insurance, right? Tata AIG General Insurance. To bring innovation in the digital lending, Axis Bank has collaborated with a fintech player to introduce gold-backed credit line via UPI. This marks the new use case of gold as a collateral in digital transaction. with whom Axis Bank has partnered for this UPI based initiative. Now for this initiative, Axis Bank has partnered with Freecharge, option C. Next one, to facilitate the recovery of dormant investment, SEBI has launched a digital platform aimed at helping the investor to trace the inactive or unclaimed mutual fund folios. What is the name of this service and what does this stands for? Is it trace, is it mitra, is it reclaim, unfolio or suraksha? Now this is a very simple one, guys. This is a very simple one. We have done it multiple times. This is none other than Mutual Fund Investment Tracing and Retrieval Assistant, right? Mitra platform. To strengthen MSME ecosystem, SIDBI has launched a new scheme focused on empowering the industry association and improving the competitiveness as well. What is the name of this particular initiative? Important. The name of this initiative is, guys, option C, Development of Industry Association. Expanding the insurance reach, RBL Bank has signed a bancassurance agreement with one of the largest life insurer in the country, which is the insurer who is now in partnership with the RBL Bank. That's LIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India. Which company has rolled out NPS based initiative for the gig economy workers? So that's Zomato, option C, Zomato. Next one. RBI has taken a step towards enabling the Indian banks to finance high value strategic deals involving the Indian corporates. Which type of transaction are now being allowed to be financed by the Indian banks? The correct choice here is option C, mergers and acquisition, right? Option C, mergers and acquisition. Next one. As part of aligning with the global economy standard, RBI has announced the timeline for implementing of the revised Basel III. This implementation aims to enhance risk management and capital planning in the banking system, from which date these revised norms become applicable. So these revised norms are going to become applicable from 1st April but 2027. Next one. To ensure accuracy in risk representation in the credit exposure, the Reserve Bank of India introduced a new standardized approach for the credit risk. Under this framework, certain asset classes like MSME and residential real estate will benefit from the regulatory initiatives. What is the key feature applicable to this segment under the new draft? Higher provisioning norms, removal of capital buffer, lower risk weights, introducing of dynamic risk weights, strict credit rating requirement. That's the lower risk weights, right? Option C, lower risk weights. Next one. In a move to enhance secure online transaction, a fintech player and a private sector bank have jointly launched a biometric and card authentication mechanism compliant with the RBI guidelines. Can you tell me the name of the entities that were involved in this particular initiative? And the name of the entities were Rise Pay and Yes Bank. Okay, option C, Rise Pay and Yes Bank. What is the revised growth rate projection for 2026 by the World Bank? So as per the World Bank, financial year 2026 growth rate is 6.5%. 6.5%. Which department is entrusted with the primary scrutiny of the application in the interoperable regulatory sandbox? Very, very important. Which department is going to do the primary scrutiny of applications? The correct choice here is FinTech Department, option B, right? FinTech Department of Reserve Bank of India, option B. Next one. Once the preliminary check is done, is complete under interoperable sandbox, detailed scrutiny will be conducted by the specific sector authority. Which authority undertakes this particular responsibility? Is it Niti Aayog, Finance Ministry, Principal Regulator, IFSCA, or IRDAI? It is the Principal Regulator, option C. To boost the credit availability and widening the financial inclusion, RBI has modified the ECB norms for the NBFCs. What is the new revised threshold that NBFCs can now raise under the ECB route? So they can now raise up to $1 billion or more. They can now raise up to $1 billion or more. Next one. To improve the liquidity and support the capital market, RBI has proposed a new cap on the loan amount that individuals can avail from banks for financing the IPOs and purchase of listed shares. What is the proposed individual loan limit? The new proposed individual loan limit is 1 crore rupees. Right? So please do this very well. Can be important for your examination. These are some of the changes in limit, like the IPO financing limit is now for 25 lakh per person. Right? Removal of the ceiling on lending against securities, so that's now 1 crore. So there is a 5x increase. Please do this very well. Can be important for your examination. Next one. Which specific component distributed under the public distribution system will be factored into CPI under the new revised model? That is free or subsidized food grains. Okay. Can you guys tell me the HSBC service PMI value for the month of September 2025? So that's 60.9, but you can ignore this one because we will be doing the latest month data only. Right. Whenever I talk about monthly data, we'll be only doing the monthly data of just before your examination, और सारे के सारे months का हमको करने की बिल्कुल भी need यहाँ पे नहीं होती है. To ensure the continuation of export incentives and support the merchandise export sector, the Indian government has extended a scheme aimed at refunding embedded taxes and duties. Till what date has the RODTEP scheme is now extended? So it is extended up to 31st March 2026. So by the end of the financial year, it is extended, right? Then you need to remember that RBI has constituted a 6-member board of payment regulatory board, right? This is the Payment Regulatory Board with 6 members. And this board is going to replace the BPSS, Board for Regulation and Supervision of Payment and Settlement. Which platform has been integrated with the FX retail platform recently by the Reserve Bank of India? The platform which was integrated recently was the Bharat Connect, right? Bharat Connect platform was integrated with the FX retail platform to enable the digital forex purchases as well, right? Next one. To accelerate innovation in the payment ecosystem, NPCI has set up new subsidiary that will drive experimentation, testing, scaling of next generation payment technologies. The new entity is designed as an environment for fintech trials and innovation. What is this environment intended as? This environment is intended as a sandbox entity, right? It is intended as a sandbox entity. The Global Fintech Fest 2025 was hosted in Mumbai and gathered key financial leaders, regulators. What was the theme of the Global Fintech Fest 2025? The theme of Global Fintech Fest was Empowering Finance for a Better World Powered by Artificial Intelligence. Next one. New global merchandise trade volume growth forecast for 2026. The new global merchandise trade volume growth forecast for financial year 2026 is 0.5%. 0.5% as per World Trade Organization. Next is the Reserve Bank of India is piloting a new initiative that involves tokenizing money market instruments such as certificate of deposits to promote blockchain-based efficiency. The settlement layer for this pilot uses which segment of the CBDC? So they are using the wholesale segment of the CBDC, important for your examination. Next one. India's pension ecosystem continues to expand with increasing adoption across formal and informal sector. The combined asset under management under the two key government pension schemes recently crossed a major milestone. What was the figure that was achieved? It was 16 lakh crore, right? It was 16 lakh crore combining the AUM of NPCSN, NPSN, APY, Adult Pension Yojana and New Pension Scheme. The RBI Governor, Mr. Sanjay Malhotra, announced a new concept that will tokenize the financial assets such as securities, such as debt instruments, settling them through a wholesale CBDC network. What is this concept called as? Now this concept is called as Unified Market Interface, can be important. UMI interface. Which company has collaborated with HDFC Bank for a unique QR based solution for small businesses to establish digital identity recently? So the entity was Vyaparify. Option A. The microfinance industry has witnessed a sharp rise in stress level as the repayment capacity among the borrowers weakened in financial year 2026. The indicator reflecting loans overdue jumped over 160% a year. What is the parameter used to measure this overdue exposure? The parameter that was used was PAR greater than 30 days overdue. So PAR is nothing but portfolio at risk, right? Portfolio at risk. What is the projected rate of growth of India's export in 2025? The correct choice here is 7.1%, option B, right? 7.1%. Next one. After months of easing prices, India's retail inflation fell below the RBI's lower tolerance band. Can you tell me the CPI data for September 2025? So it was 1.54%, right? The Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is preparing to conduct a new national survey aimed at generating authentic information on how income are spread across the household. What kind of data will this survey collect? This will collect data around income distribution, right? Option B. What is the revised projection for the first quarter of International Monetary Fund? The forecast for the financial year 2026. So the forecast for IMF forecast for financial year 2026 is 6.6%, right? 6.6%. Earlier it was 6.4. Now they have increased it to 6.6%. EPFO has launched a special campaign to bring more and more employees who were left out of formal social security coverage into the EPF framework, with the target employees who joined the establishment during which period? During the period of 1st July 2017 to 31st October 2025, and for the next 6 months from 1st of November to the next 6 months, November, December, January, February, March, April तक ये ओपन है, वहाँ तक आपको यहाँ पे इसके अंदर अप्लाई करना है. RBI has revised the ceiling for loans backed by equity holdings to improve the capital market liquidity. We just discussed. लोन अगेंस्ट शेयर का क्या लिमिट है? तो लोन अगेंस्ट शेयर का लिमिट है 1 करोड़ रुपीज, राइट? और IPO फाइनेंसिंग के लिए पर इंडिविजुअल क्या लिमिट है? सो द पर इंडिविजुअल लिमिट इज 25 लाख. वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. A global banking major has announced a $1 billion commitment to support Indian startup through the dedicated innovation banking platform. Which bank has launched this particular initiative? HSBC has launched this initiative. An Indian fintech has built NPCI's e-rupee platform to allow the real-time issuance of UPI vouchers for corporate expenses management and reimbursement. Which company has created this solution? The correct choice here is option A. Option A is the correct choice. For smoother fine payment, a city administration has installed a kiosk allowing the violators to pay challan through the QR code on the spot. So this is in the Gurugram. Option A. Next one. An IIT Madras incubated startup in collaboration with the NPCI introduced a smart ring that enables contactless RuPay payment without a phone or a card. What is the name of the startup? The correct choice here is option A. A fintech company has partnered with an asset management firm to allow instant redemption of liquid mutual funds through the UPI, making payout seamless. Which AMC collaborated for this particular launch? So the AMC that has collaborated with this launch is ICICI AMC Asset Management Company. RBI has extended the coverage of its integrated ombudsman scheme. This is important. to additional banking entities for the better grievance redressal. Which two category banks are now included in this framework? Very, very important for your examination. The correct choice is Central Cooperative Bank and State Cooperative Bank, right? RBI has extended the permissible period for the outward foreign exchange in the mercantile trade transaction, allowing the traders more time to settle the payment to suppliers abroad. The revised limit is now 6 months. Earlier it used to be 4 months, now it is 6 months. A recent industry report has pointed to raising stress and delinquencies in the NBFC MFI sector amid strong credit growth. Which report made this particular observation? Southern Report, CRISIL, ICRA, CARE or SIDBI Financial Report. So that is Southern Report, option A, right? Next one. In corporate governance, disclosure norms vary based on the transaction value. As per the updated regulation, the audit committee disclosures are not required if the transaction value falls below a certain threshold. What is the threshold below which no disclosure as of now are required for the audit committee? Transactions. Now this is from the SEBI circulars. This is from the SEBI circular. The correct choice is 1 crore. Right, the correct choice is 1 crore. The Global Financial Center Index ranks the cities on the competitiveness in the financial service. What is the largest ranking? What is the latest ranking, of the gift city in GFSC 38? The rank was 43rd. Gift city ranked 43rd in the GFCI 38. The International Monetary Fund has raised its projection for India's growth in the upcoming year. What is the growth rate by IMF projected for India for the financial year 2026? It is 6.6%. And what about 2027? For 2027, it is 6.2%. Which entity has partnered with NPCI International to facilitate UPI acceptance in Japan? Important. That's NTT data, right? NTT data. Angel fund pool resources from high net worth individuals to invest in startups. What is the SEBI specified deadline for disclosure compliance for these funds to disclose how the investment opportunities will be allocated among the investors now? So the timeline is now set to 31st January 2026. The RBI study has ranked the Indian states based on the UPI transaction intensity. So in terms of intensity, which state is on the top? It is the Telangana, option D. India has launched a UPI application tailored specifically for the female users to improve financial inclusion. What is the name of this UPI app exclusive for women? So that's option E. It can be important. To boost logistic and infrastructure, the government has launched a new flagship plan under the DPIIT during the 4th anniversary of the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. What is the full form of LEAPS 2025 initiative? The full form of LEAPS 2025 initiative is Logistics Excellence, Advancements and Performance Shield. Option B. Certain NBFCs are now being considered for reclassification due to their increasing size and systemic relevance. One of such firm is expected to become an upper layer NBFC within the next 3 years. which is the one? Axis Finance Limited, option D. The tenure of the 16th Finance Commission has been extended to allow additional time for submission of its recommendation. What is the new timeline? The new timeline to submit its report is 30th November 2025, right, by the end of this month basically. The performance of India's core infrastructure sector showed significantly in September 2025. What was the year-on-year growth rate of 8 core industries of India during this particular month? That is 3%, right? What was the total inflow recorded in this particular period? If I talk about the NRI deposit inflows, there was a surge in the NRI. Sorry, there was a decline in the NRI deposit inflow. What was the total inflow recorded in the period of April to July 2025? So it was 4.7 billion USD, 4.7 billion USD. And why there was a sharp decline in the NRI deposit? Because of the FCNRB account. FCNRB account, this is a very, very important concept. The government is enhancing the investor services by integrating newer technologies into the IEPFA portal, which manages unclaimed shares and dividend. What technology upgrade is being partnered for this particular portal? That's AI and data analytics. What is the total value of exposure exchange between ADB and the World Bank for supporting the developing countries? So under this deal, one of them will gain a greater lending capacity via swap. The deal amount is 3 billion USD between the ADB and the World Bank. Increasing digital payment fraud and prompted two major Indian banks to form a specialized company for real-time fraud intelligence. So they have formed an entity, not-for-profit entity, which will analyze the fraud data across different institutions, which two banks have collaborated to launch this particular platform. So the banks that have collaborated are SBI and BOB. SBI and BOB can be very, very important. A major fintech app has extended its UPI service to non-resident Indian, allowing them to use their overseas mobile numbers for transaction without needing an Indian SIM card. Which platform has introduced this functionality? That's Paytm. Can you guys tell me the official theme of RBI 2025 Hackathon Habenga 2025? The official theme was Secure Banking Powered by Identity, Integrity and Inclusivity. Which among the following was not included as a problem statement under Habenga 2025? Tokenized KYC, offline CBDC, enhancing trust, blockchain settlement layer, none of the above. It was blockchain settlement layer. This was not at all there in the problem statement, right? This was the theme and these are the three problem statements which we need to address in this particular hackathon, right? India's technological ecosystem continues to attract global capital. The total cumulative and private sector investment commitments in AI have crossed a significant benchmark in 2025. What is the estimated size of these investments? The estimated size of these investments are 20 billion USD, right? 20 billion USD. Acha, can you tell me the name of the AI-based UPI support system which was recently launched? It was UPI Help, right? What was the share of the digital payments in the total transaction volume during the first half of 2025? During the first half of 2025. The correct answer here is 99.8%, right? Which edition of the RBI Global Hackathon does this mark? So this was the fourth hackathon, right? This was the fourth Global Hackathon, Harbinger 2025. Next one is regarding which Indian bank received the world's best consumer bank 2025 and the best bank in India 2025 award from the Global Finance. It was the State Bank of India, right? Option A, State Bank of India. A lending asset management company introduced a facility allowing investor to make UPI payment directly from their mutual funds holding. Now this is possible only in the liquid funds. I have told you in a very detailed manner in the finance current affairs session. You can make now UPI payments from your mutual funds, but they should be liquid mutual funds, which are treated at par with the saving account, right? Next one. A card which enables offline tap in tap out transaction and can be reloaded through the UPI. What is the name of this card? Which was released in collaboration with the Pine Labs. The name of the card is Flipkart Bharat Yatra card. Next one. What specific feature has IFSCA proposed to permit under a new consultative framework proposing a regulatory reform to strengthen the blended finance structure in the GIFT IFSC? Important. That is the differential distributing rights. Acha, tell me this one. A Japanese fintech firm has launched a digital token fully backed by the Japanese government and domestic bank deposit, designed to maintain a 1:1 peg with the yen. What is the name of this particular innovation? So do let me know later on, guys, in the comment section, what do you think should be the correct choice of this particular question? Okay. And guys, for those students who are seeking for mentorship for the phase 2 examination, you can check out the course highlight of this particular batch. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you soon in some other video. Bye bye. Take care.